Alright, welcome back to another 830 crew video. This is Lex signing in. Today we'll be doing something a little different. It is AI related, but this time our AI friend will be the player of a quick little test D&D session. A very quick one-shot. I want to see how this custom-made GPT functions as a player. Not an oracle, not a dungeon master, strictly the player. It's been modify, test it a little bit. But this will be a full run through to see how I can DM this AI. So I'll be the DM, as I said. I'll be using real dice in front of me here. Uh, well, it'll be working off a very simple character stats. Um, I'll give it a name, uh, uh, its race, class, and that's pretty much it. So we'll keep it very simple. There'll be no stability scores. We will roll a d20 quite often. I'll have a DC set in mind. It might ask at times if it should roll. Now, in some testing, it has rolled itself like a random number, while others it says it will, which that's my cue to roll for it. So let's go ahead and begin. We will talk to it, and we might hear it also talk back to us using voice control. So let's give it a shot. Your character is Smith, and he is a human rogue. Are you ready? Just Smith. All right.
Absolutely. I'm ready to jump into the role of Smith, the human rogue. Let's embark on this adventure.
Okay, so hopefully it does talk automatically, which that time it did not. All right, we'll do just a impromptu storyline, nothing complex or uh, this is totally improvised. So your character awakens in a clearing of a dead, decaying forest. You are lying in the middle of a 50-yard wide clearing. You are on top of a busted old wagon.
Smith swiftly scans his surroundings, his rogue instincts kicking in. He cautiously gets up, ensuring no creaks from the old wagon betray his position. Using his keen eyes, he examines the clearing and the edge of the forest for any signs of danger or clues as to how he ended up here. His hand instinctively rests on the hilt of his dagger, ready for any sudden threats.
Okay, so as you can see, it's referencing a typical rogue with a dagger. We're not keeping track of inventory or items, HP, ability scores, leveling. This is going to be a totally simple approach to D&D. So it's more of a text-based adventure while including these checks, which I will have it possibly do soon. So let's see. There's suddenly a strange figure that you can barely make out directly in front of you, walking in between the trees, just on the edge of the clearing. It seems to be circling you, walking around the entire perimeter of the clearing, but there is no sounds coming from it.
Smith's senses heighten at the sight of the figure. He lowers his body slightly, blending with the shadows of the busted wagon, minimizing his visibility. He focuses on tracking the figure's movement, observing any patterns or behaviors that might reveal its intentions. Smith's hand grips his dagger tighter, preparing for a potential confrontation while also considering a stealthy approach to gather more information without being detected. His eyes never leave the silent, circling figure.
Okay, let's see. The figure suddenly transitions from the holes in the forest into the clearing to reveal itself to be a spiritual entity that you can slightly see through, but it is in a full glow of an appearance. It slowly hovers towards your position, very slowly, and suddenly stops right in front of you, of where you are on the wagon. It has the shape of a human.
Smith remains motionless, his training as a rogue guiding his actions. He assesses the spectral entity, noting its human-like shape and ethereal glow. His mind races, contemplating whether this spirit poses a threat or could be a source of information. He prepares to speak, choosing his words carefully, ready to communicate with the entity while maintaining a defensive stance. Smith's eyes carefully observe any changes in the spirit's demeanor as it hovers near him, ready to react swiftly if necessary.
As you can see, the GPT is, it can be overly descriptive of its actions, but that's okay. I actually put a note in the instructions for it to be simple and not too overly descriptive, but obviously that didn't entirely get the memo. But I'm trying to give it some interaction with my NPCs that I put in the story. We'll probably have a throw here soon, but let me go ahead and see how it does in interactions. The entity suddenly starts to speak in a very crystal clear voice that sounds vaguely familiar to you. It says, "What are you doing in my home?" I should say it asks.
Smith's eyes narrow slightly, recognizing the familiar timbre in the entity's voice. He keeps his posture relaxed but alert. Choosing his words with caution and respect, Smith replies, "I mean no intrusion. I awoke here, on this wagon, with no memory of how I arrived. I seek only understanding and mean no harm to you or your home." His gaze remains steady on the entity, trying to gauge its reaction and hoping his diplomatic approach eases any potential hostility. Smith also subtly scans the surroundings, staying aware of escape routes or hiding spots, should the need arise.
Roll a perception check to see if you can spot anything around you, even within the forest. So this one,
Rolling for a perception check for Smith, the human rogue. Dice roll, 20-sided die. Let's see what Smith perceives in his surroundings.
okay, so since he's a rogue, and the forest is populated with very tall, skinny trees, but a lot of them, we'll give a DC of just 10. Wow, I just rolled a perfect 20 for him. So let's see how I should describe this. The DC was a mere 10. You rolled a critical 20. You can also see 3 to 4 more strange glowing figures circling the edge of the clearing, much like the spirit you're talking to, but they do not enter the clearing. They seem to be weaving through the forest. Suddenly, the entity speaks again. It says, "What is your name?" I keep saying it should ask.
With his exceptional perception roll, Smith keenly observes the additional glowing figures at the edge of the clearing. He notes their movements, weaving through the trees, yet not entering the clearing like the entity before him. This information sharpens his awareness of the situation, making him more cautious yet curious about these spirits. Addressing the entity in front of him, Smith maintains a respectful tone. My name is Smith. I am a traveler who has found himself here unexpectedly. May I know who you are and about these other spirits? Smith's stance remains non-threatening, his focus divided between the conversing spirit and the movements of the others in the forest, ready to adapt to any changes in the scenario.
Okay. The spirit seems to step back just a few feet. It then speaks once again. I am the protector of this forest. The ones you see around us are my brothers. We have been here for thousands of years. You and your kind have been a nuisance to my people. But you specifically appear to be different. All right.
Smith listens intently, understanding the gravity of the spirit's words. He remains calm and respectful, recognizing the significance of encountering such ancient guardians. Protector, I am honored to meet you and your brothers. I assure you, my intentions are peaceful. I am here by chance, not by choice. I seek to understand why I am here and mean no harm to your forest or your people. Is there a way I can prove my intentions are sincere? Smith's tone conveys genuine curiosity and a desire to establish trust. He carefully observes the spirit's reactions and the surrounding area, aware that his actions and words could impact how the spirit and its brothers perceive him.
Roll a persuasion check to see how your question is approved by the spirit.
Rolling for a persuasion check for Smith, the human rogue. Dice roll, 20-sided die. Let's see how the spirit responds to Smith's attempt at persuasion.
Okay, so since the spirit already kind of has a read on Smith and doesn't exactly see him as a problem, but someone who is unique, we'll have a modest 12 DC. I'm sorry, not a 12. We'll do the same 10 DC for this. So I'm gonna roll. Okay, 3. I rolled just a measly 3. Even with a modest DC 10, you rolled only a 3. The spirit slowly backs away from you. He fades away into the forest. However, his brothers, as mentioned, enter the clearing, though remain on the edge, positioned around you in a perfect trifecta. They all speak at the same, saying, "Leave now, or you will be seen as a threat. We give you this one chance." All right, let's see what happens.
Despite his efforts, Smith realizes that his words haven't swayed the spirits. He watches the main spirit fade away and turns his attention to the 3 that have now encircled him. Understanding the gravity of the unified warning, Smith knows that a confrontational approach would be unwise and dangerous. With a nod of acknowledgement to the spirits, Smith carefully begins to back away, keeping his movements slow and non-threatening. I respect your wishes and will leave this place, he says calmly, ensuring his voice carries no hint of challenge. As he retreats, Smith keeps his senses alert, watching the spirit's movements while also being mindful of his surroundings. He plans his path to exit the clearing, ensuring he doesn't make any sudden movements that could be misconstrued as hostile by the spirits. His primary goal is to leave their territory peacefully, respecting their warning.
Okay, let's do a perception check so he can find a way out of the clearing. Roll a perception check to see if you can find a way out of the clearing without disturbing the spirits around you.
Rolling for a perception check for Smith, the human rogue, to find a safe exit from the clearing. Dice roll, 20-sided die. Let's see if Smith can discern a path that allows him to leave without disturbing the spirits.
Okay, I'm gonna roll him. I'll do a DC of, let's do 12. I keep saying 12. I know 12 is not really a DC, but we'll do that. It's 12 for this one. He rolled a 4. Gosh darn it. With a DC of 12, you unfortunately roll a 4. Not the best of luck. You do not see an easy way out of the clearing. The forest seems to be tightening around you. The clearing seems to be somehow shrinking in size, though the spirits remain in their respective positions. Time is running short.
Smith, realizing his perception has failed him in finding a clear path, feels the forest closing in, the clearing seemingly shrinking. He maintains his composure despite the increasing pressure of the situation. Given the circumstances, Smith decides to rely on his instincts as a rogue. He chooses a direction that appears the least threatening, hoping to navigate through the forest with as little disturbance as possible. He moves with deliberate care, trying to minimize his impact on the surroundings and show respect to the spirit's domain. As he proceeds, Smith keeps a watchful eye on the spirits, ready to pause or change course if they show signs of agitation. His goal is to exit the clearing and the spirit's territory without escalating the situation, relying on his stealth and intuition to guide him through this challenging predicament.
Okay, so at this point, I would let him leave. Not really a problem. This doesn't require a roll or like an athletics roll if he's walking on ice or something. But this worked out. He does tend to speak like a DM, but in the perspective of a player, if that makes sense. Like he's describing a lot. But I understand that this is an AI, and my creation of this GPT specifically was probably within 5 to 10 minutes of work. But overall, I think it's actually pretty good. So could this turn into a full campaign? Probably not. I like the story. This one I had in mind for a while. Like it just the player wakes up, character wakes up in the middle of a forest with no memory recollection of who they are, how they got there, on a busted wagon. They're surrounded in this clearing of a very tall forest. They speak to this forest's guardians that turns out to be an illusion, and that the mage is it was actually a mage that attacked our hero, but the hero escaped. So etc. It was like a kind of a game of cat and mouse through the forest because the forest is around this powerful mage's home, and our player, inadvertently entered the boundaries that he wasn't supposed to allow to do enter. So that was one of my little stories I've had for a while as a DM, but I didn't really expand on it too much. That's really the basics of it. But yeah, I have to go. But as as always, this was just an experiment, and it actually did work out pretty well. So thank you for watching 830 Crew. I'm Mike signing out. See you guys next time.